Hey, it's SickBoy from the Gaminganarchist Collective, and welcome to the Anarchic Eye for the 5th of November 2013. Well, personally, I'm absolutely baffled. Nintendo have come out and said that the art style for The Legend of Zelda The Wind Waker is a turn-off to gamers and it has affected their sales, and that they will not make the same mistake again going for such a bold art style. They have claimed that it was the reason it didn't sell well on the GameCube, and they're believing that it's the reason that despite critical acclaim, despite it being one of the most favourable Zelda games of all time, personally it's one of my favourites. I bought my GameCube for The Wind Waker. I genuinely did. I bought that console purely for that game. I have 2 copies of the original Wind Waker because I bought one on day one and kept it sealed and then bought the console. That's how much I was interested in that game. That's how much I genuinely love that game. And you know what? One of the reasons I'm really seriously considering a Wii U is to play the remastered edition. So, I don't know, maybe I'm alone here, maybe I'm just someone who really enjoyed that game. But I'm really surprised that Nintendo believe that the art style and the direction that the Wind Waker took, which was fairly distinct compared to previous versions, was somehow a bad thing. That the art style has hampered the game. I'd like to hear what you guys have said in the comments about that, because that frankly baffles me. That is one of the reasons why I like Wind Waker so much, is because it's so distinct. You know, it took a lot of the things that were promising from Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, and refined them and made a wonderful, in essence, open world title. It was absolutely terrific. The sailing was great, the exploration was great, the combat was great, the art style was great. I love that game. It is one of my favourite RPGs of all time. I am absolutely baffled by this. But again, maybe I'm a minority. Let me know. Well, this is something of a black eye to all those people who say, you shouldn't speak out, you're wasting your time, what does it matter, blah 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 blah. Yet again, I am delighted to bring another piece of news to prove to you that the power of the gamer's voice is strong. EA have come out and said, they had an interview, and they said one thing that was a bit weird, and it's that they believe that people have an inherent desire to steal. They want to have a one-up on someone, which that does kind of make sense, but God almighty, that's terrible messaging. But they said that basically they want you to feel like you've had more value than they have. They want to feel like you've stolen from them, not that they have stolen from you. Which is baffling, really, considering EA's policies, considering their microtransactions, considering they released essentially the same game, in some cases the exact same game. In the cases of FIFA, where they actually the same game on the Vita, I think it was the Vita and the Wii, exactly the same game, new roster. Didn't even update the engine like they did with the other consoles. They've got some fucking cheek to claim that, but that's their philosophy. Their philosophy is they want you to be tricked into feeling that you got good value for money from them. Which, to be fair, is kind of how business works. But they said something. They said that they do not like the idea. They don't believe they're the worst company in America, but the fact that they were voted worst company in America 2 years on the trot has really shaken them. They clearly said they really do care. For all that, oh, we don't care, blustery, snarky comments about, oh yeah, like we're the worst company in America. Do you remember those blogs? Do you remember those snarky little blogs? Well, now they've said we don't want to make 3. Do you know what? Our consumers have voiced their opinion. They have said, they have spoken, they have raised their voice, they have said this, and they are now paying attention to it. They are no longer snarky, they can no longer hold their aloof little attitudes and say that they are almighty and powerful, because they are not. Bear in mind what has been happening this year. Bear in mind how this year has been the year that gamers have made companies do U-turn after U-turn after U-turn after U-turn because you will not stand for something. PlayStation 4's original plans to have an offline DRM mode, the patent that I brought up 9 months ago, scrapped. Xbox One policies, granted they seem to be going back on them again, but they verbally came back and backed down. Ubisoft, back down. THQ fucking died before they can back down. EA are starting to back down. Do you see a pattern here? You do have a great deal of power. especially if you use it appropriately. This is why I do what I do. I channel rage and I show passion on something that I feel you can affect, or it can influence you into why I think something is a bad decision. Use it. Don't use it screaming blue murder because someone reviewed a game that you don't like, or leave that, park that. Focus on getting good value for you. And EA are just proving us absolutely right. Well, Square-Enix have thoroughly thrown their hat in the ring. They have just announced Project Flare. Project Flare is their own cloud computing system. There is also, Ubisoft have got one, I believe, called Arcus, which is again in early stage of development. What they are looking to do is to entirely circumvent the console completely and have all of the computing, or at least the vast majority of the computing, being done in the cloud, on their servers, in the fucking cloud. But what they're talking about is using their servers, using their machines to run the processing for you. They have a demo, which will be linked in the description, and you can see that they have real live things that they will show that you can load up your friend's Final Fantasy XI game and watch how they're playing. Like, real time, you can do that, apparently, with this software. That is where they're looking to move things. They're looking to have things like, CryEngine quality, physics and things, all done remotely. Now, this is an interesting technological concept. However, when it comes down to the consumer, when it comes down to getting good value, I am not entirely trusting of this. However, from a technological standpoint, it is fairly fascinating to see that obviously with Sony buying Gaikai and doing cloud gaming that way, Microsoft doing it their own way, and Square-Enix going, we'll do it so you can run it on any device you bloody well like. You don't even need a console. They're going to be they're going to just be their own publisher and everything. That will potentially allow huge amounts of savings. However, given Square-Enix's price points when it comes to things like mobile games, I'm not so sure. But we'll see how that goes. It's worth keeping an eye on. It is a fascinating technological development, and we'll see where it goes. They are looking to beta test it in Japan and North America within the next 2 years. So it's a way off yet, but we'll see what happens sort of midway through the new console generation, and see just how much life these machines have when, who knows, maybe you can even run this off a smart TV. I don't know. This kind of technology, utilise a smart TV and a control pad. Why do you need a console? Now, of course, personally, that knackers the entire point of ownership and collecting of games, which I do not like. I love collecting my games. I don't want to see that go. However, this is where technology is going, provided it can be done in a consumer-focused manner. It has got its benefits. Let's not just throw the baby up with the bathwater here. However, we need to consider the fact that gaming, if it changes, and it changes to this temporal thing, it's all reliant on purely on their servers, it needs to be priced accordingly. I pay less than a price of one Blu-ray to have Amazon Prime Unlimited. Okay, I can watch whatever TV program, whatever film is on there. I'm streaming it, I'm renting it. If they want to offer me a service for less than one game a month to play a whole catalogue of their games, I'd be game. You want to try and charge me full price to rent a game on your server, you can get fucked. Well, lo and behold, Konami are doing something good. I am quite glad to be praising them on something. They have taken Metal Gear Rising Revengeance. They have taken the game, they have slashed it in half from its original retail price. I don't know what the UK prices are, but it's going to be $30 US. And the DLC will be free. Now that is damn good news, because a lot of people were holding off from that game, really pissed off that there were 2 substantial bits of DLC that they charged for. This is the story DLC they're talking about. This is the Jetstream Sam and the Blade Wolf DLC. Obviously the other little bits and pieces, presumably, they will still charge you for, the little micro bits and pieces. But there we go. But at least it means that you can get the full experience of that game now for at least half the original retail price. Now, that to me feels basically like they've just done a Game of the Year edition and done it easier. They've just been sensible with their Game of the Year edition. They've slashed their retail price and they've taken out their DLC costs, therefore giving you a Game of the Year edition, essentially. That's what this is. If you're holding off for Game of the Year edition, you've got it. Revengence is not the greatest hack and slash there has ever been, but it is a damn good attempt, and this console generation, I have to say, is one of the strongest. That and Bayonetta, ironically both made by Platinum Games, are the two best hack and slash games on the current generation machines. So, for a bargain price and for free DLC, I think that's actually looking like a damn good price. So, happy to hear that. Good on you, Konami. I'm very glad, because you have been done some fairly dickish things of late. I mean, I just haven't got over your Silent Hill HD collection. What in the fuck was that? Anyway, incidentally, before I go read V for Vendetta. It is the 5th of November, or whenever it is when you're watching this, but it's 5th of November now. So, you know, given the fact that that is a story of an anonymous anarchist, coming from a non-anonymous anarchist, you've been looking through the 2020 vision of the Anarchic eye. Thanks a lot for watching. I'll catch you guys later.